Hello there. This is my second attempt at this video because I'm a little bit sick at the moment. So I gave the first video a go while I was probably at my worst. Not the greatest idea. The thing I want to talk about is what do we do at such times when we feel so alone, so isolated, lonely, and as though nobody is really truly there for us. Whew, that's a hard one, isn't it? That's like a really hard, tough topic. And I just want to talk about that today because I know that the human experience does, as overall, does include moments like these. Like, there is not one person walking around on earth that has not felt this way. We could say that this is one of those universal life experiences that we all can feel acquainted with. So, first of all, I've been there. And so my heart goes out to you if you're going through a really tough time right now and you're feeling like there's nobody to turn to. Those times are just really dark and helpless. I think it's one of the worst feelings that one could have on earth, to feel like there's nobody to turn to. I think that, first of all, when we are able to get through these dark moments though, and we come out the other side, every time that we do, we become stronger. And I know that that can seem like a bit of a cliche, right? Oh, well, whatever doesn't break you makes you stronger. That's the cliche. But I actually believe it is true. Every time I've been through a really difficult experience, I have come out stronger on the other side. Every time I have been through a very difficult experience, I've also just held on to God like nothing else, and He has managed to pull me through. So on that note, I want to say we are never truly alone. God is always there. Whether we see or hear Him or not, He is actually there. Because God, if you don't know who or what God is like the air. God is like the light that we have from the sun. God is like gravity. God just is. God is love, actually. So anything good in your life comes from Him as a gift, and He is always there, whether we see or hear Him or not. He is just always there. I just wanted to put that in there before moving on to the rest of my talk, because in the event that you're going through something really difficult right now, sometimes we need to remember that there's someone bigger than us, and that is God. If you believe in Him and you've forgotten how to just chat to Him, do it. If you don't know Him at all and you don't quite know what He is He the universe that people talk about? Is He spirit that people talk about? Reach out to Him anyway. Reach out to Him in the depths of your loneliness, because you will know that you're not really truly alone, and that's what I'm trying to get at. I think also it's really important to know that, I don't know, this is what I've come to understand in my life. I'm in my 40s now. I have lived a pretty good long life by now. I'm halfway there. And I can say that one of the big things I have learned is that we come into the world fully equipped with everything that we need, everything that we truly need. There is this saying that says we come into the world with nothing, therefore we leave the world with nothing. I find that saying a little bit depressing, to be honest. But I like to think of the other side of that coin is that we come into the world with everything we actually need and leave the world with everything we actually need. And that is ourselves. That is ourselves. We are born with not just a physical body, but also a spirit. That's our mind, our heart, our emotions, our belief systems, our perspectives that we take on as we live life through life. And those, just knowing that we are equipped already with everything that we need in life can give us strength in those times. When you're going through a difficult time, it's good to know that somebody, at least somebody, which is you, is there for you, is rooting for you. Deep down, the spirit inside you is striving and fighting on your behalf to always rise above and to always find a way to solve the problem. The other thing that I have learned in life is that sometimes we're put in really strange positions in life where we might not be able to, say, afford things, or we might not be able to do the things that other people seem to be able to do so easily. Like, for many people, it can be just organizing an appointment that's due and it's just taking a long time, like 3 months later and the appointment is still not done, a year later and the appointment is still not done. My poor doctor, she's like, have you made this appointment yet? No, not yet. And that's not good. But yes, we're not all equipped with the ability to do everything there is to do in life. That is a fact. Some people might not have the ability to organize their home or to organize their children, off to school and everything that comes with that. It can be a real struggle. Sometimes we can be put in a strange position in life where we just want a friend, we just want to hang out with someone, and we just don't have that kind of person in our life. I've definitely been there in my life where there's been big gaps in my life where I don't have someone that I can just ring up and say, hey, do you want to grab a coffee today? For various reasons. Either friendships have fallen by the wayside, or friends have moved away, or friends live far away to begin with, and that worked for a while, and then life gets complicated and it gets to a point where sadly that's just not possible to upkeep anymore. So again, friends can just fall by the wayside. Sometimes it's happened where friends, like for me particularly, I've had various friends who then discover that their own child has high needs along their parenting journey, and then that can change things too. Not because I wouldn't want to support them in that journey, but because their world has just changed so vastly that they themselves have to cull and keep to the people that only they really truly need in their life for their child's sake. I've had that happen. So there can be various strange positions that life just throws us into, and we just don't have the resources, whether it's physical resources like money or transport or access to services, like that kind of genre of situation, and then there's the emotional sort of friendships situation. There's also the situation I don't want to dismiss. This is that maybe when someone goes through a divorce, that can be really just, I've had a few friends go through that, sadly enough. So just watching what they've had to go through, it is so emotionally distressing for the person going through it, heart-wrenching to kind of watch and be a supportive friend through that, and financially it's just devastating. It can take years sometimes for the finances side of things to finally just be sorted. So there's all these really strange situations that life can throw us into, and we just don't have whatever it is that we need to get through it. There are two things that I think on this topic. Is one, either life has given you this because there's a lesson to be learned through it. And I don't mean as in, oh, there's a moral lesson for you, and this is not like that. I mean like a growth lesson, like a personal growth thing, personal growth that you have to go through. B, there's also a thing that we all have to learn, which is really, really hard to learn, is to reach out for help. I think I've experienced both of these. I was brought up in such a way as to be taught to be very, very self-reliant. I won't say self-sufficient because, you know, the average Western person, Australian person, would think, well, if you're self-sufficient, you would hold a job and hold a career, which I do not have. So I'm not going to use that word. I do like to think that I'm self-sufficient in other ways. But I will say self-reliant. I was definitely brought up to be very self-reliant. First of all, I was the oldest child, and like many oldest children, we get ingrained, taught very heavily that we are the responsible one, and we're kind of almost in charge of the younger siblings, and that is a fact that happens, and it cannot be shall I say, argued. It's just something that happens. Even if it doesn't happen in the home, it will certainly happen in the school that the children attend, because again, older children in older grades get told the younger children in the younger grades are looking up to you, they're watching you, you got to be responsible. So there's that. And I was the oldest of my siblings. Secondly, I am South American and I'm a woman. So in South American culture, being a woman of the home, like as in doing things like cooking and making cups of tea and tidying up the table after dinner and getting into the chores and maybe leading the younger siblings to do the chores, is highly valued. So there was also that very much ingrained in me. I'm really not a domestic goddess. I won't say that my parents failed. They did really well in teaching me what to do. It's just didn't turn out to be my forte. I think that was my mum's worry, to be honest. She was always like, oh, you kind of got to learn this, like you're going to suffer in life otherwise. thirdly, I was an immigrant child. So I started school without even knowing a drop of English, and had to learn it on my own. And then it became very clear to me, even at 5 years of age, having started school, that my parents weren't going to be able to help me with my homework. So it very quickly became my thing to do. The schoolwork was my thing. Nobody else could help me, and in any way I didn't want the help anyway. Like it was sort of like my little child's mind did that. It was like, well, this is my thing, I'll sort it. So I became a very, very independent child. Some people might even say like a maybe a strong-willed child, because I always just knew what I had to do, and I'd get in and get it done. That works really well when you're just a child and life really isn't complex. So all of this to say that I became very very self-reliant, and was always like, by the time I was shot out into the world, spat out into the world, it was very uncomfortable for me to receive help, or even ask for help. It's a funny thing, because I didn't feel that I needed the help in the first place. I remember getting together with my husband. We'd just moved in together. We'd been living together for a year and decided to move from one city to another, to his hometown, and he kept saying to me, oh, my dad says that we should do this. My dad says we could do that, like with giving us tips on how to move our stuff, like a house full of stuff, up to their hometown. And I was kind of like, I've moved several times over the last few years, right? Like I've done it all myself. Like I've had a house full of stuff to move myself. Like I don't really need your dad's input. And he was like, oh, he's just trying to help. And I looked at him and I was like, but why? Like I was like, it was something that I could not fathom, because I had never turned to my parents for help. It had never occurred to me that could be a thing. So I'm just sharing these lighthearted anecdotes, because it can be really, really hard to learn how to ask for help. But when life throws us to rock bottom, and there is nothing that we can do for ourselves, even just a simple little need for wanting to hang out with someone, like that is just something so simple that anyone should be able to do. Sometimes the only thing that's going to get us up from there is to just push through the discomfort, and reach out to somebody. Reaching out to somebody, sometimes anybody, is the best thing that anyone could do. If somebody doesn't pick up the phone, move on to the next person in your contacts. That person might not pick up the phone, move on to the next person. Because if you're in a place where you really, really need to just have a conversation, please do that. Say nobody answers the phone. What then? Take heart. Take heart in that life has got you in that place at that time for some reason. The thing that has always helped me get through those kinds of moments is imagining that someone did pick up the phone and it ends up being a complete disaster. Maybe they were in need to rant and rave and to be angry at the world. And was that going to help me? No. Maybe someone picks up the phone and and actually says, oh, sorry, look, I gotta go. I'm at work. Like, call me later. And they hang up. Like, was that going to help me? No. Like, I always try to think of the alternative worst thing that could have happened, because then that helps me to see what I'm going through right now in like the lighter and more positive aspect that it possibly is. I remember I was walking along. I met one of my friends at uni. I literally met because she had missed the bus. I was walking down the road, down the uni road, heading back towards my dorm, and she was walking the opposite direction. Actually, yeah. So she's walking the opposite direction, sort of coming towards me, and she's got a bike with her. She's not riding it. It's like she's holding it. She's sort of pulling it along, and she's got a flat tire. And I was like a pretty cheerful, kind of very social kind of a kid. So I was like, hey, how are you going? What are you up to? Where are you off to? And like, I just struck up conversation with this girl. And she's like, oh, I'm so upset. I've got a flat tire. I can't ride my bike. So I thought I'd catch the bus and I missed the bus. I'm so upset. So she was just really needing to just talk to somebody that moment. She had a very long way to go home because she didn't live on campus. And I just lightheartedly said to her, oh, that's okay. Like, look, you never know what might have happened if you hopped on that bus. Maybe that bus was going to crash. And like, you might have been hurt, you know? And she just cracked up laughing. And she's like, oh my gosh, I like your perspective. Apologies for that. That just stopped on me all of a sudden. So I'm back just to finish off what I was saying, because I was really nearly finished. So what I was saying was my friend was like cracking up laughing and saying, oh my gosh, thank you for your perspective, I think, you know, like, and it was really funny and we became good friends. I just want to say that even though I've always kind of held that perspective, I do still hold it, just not in an 18-year-old kind of way. Like, oh, you might hop on that bus and crash and get killed. But on a more serious note, like, I do really hold to that perspective. Like, when I'm in the darkest moment, and I say this to you, when you're in your darkest moment and say you've tried to call somebody, they haven't picked up the phone. Maybe you've tried someone else, they haven't picked up the phone. Maybe you've tried a third person, nobody's picking up the phone. There's no one you can talk to in that moment. First of all, before I go on here, please do reach out to professional kind of lines that are available. If you're really, really needing to chat to somebody, you're in your darkest place, please call those lines that are available with counselors such as Lifeline, the Lifeline Counselling service. I don't quite remember what their name is. I'll link it all up, because if you really need to chat to someone, definitely do. If you're in a position where you just need to get through your day and you're gonna overall be okay, you were just hoping to chat to someone and no one's picking up the phone, I always like to try and think of the worst alternative. Like, say someone did pick up the phone and that person was actually in a ranty and ravey kind of a mood, like, and they were angry at the world. Was that going to help you? No. What if somebody picked up the phone and they were actually just like busy and made it clear that they were busy? They're like, oh, look, I'm at work, can you call me back later? Yeah, like, talk later. Letters, you know, like that would not be helpful to you either. And I like to think of those moments when life hasn't really given you the thing you thought you needed. I like to think of it as life, or God, just knowing better, knowing that right now you don't actually need that. And that right now you've got you to get yourself through this moment. And that maybe what you're going through in this moment is possibly a little lighter and more positive than the alternative would have been. Sometimes we just need to, I like calling it being humbled, when you really need a thing, but then life goes, nah, that's not actually what you need. And you're like, well, what then? I like to call those moments humbling moments, because then you realize you do have only yourself, but more empoweringly than that, you have yourself to get through. You're never really quite alone. You have you, and you have God, I have to say. So onwards and upwards, hold on. Life is made up of ups and downs, and if you're going through a down right now, just know that there is an upcoming. There's always an upcoming. And you will get through this. You will get